Now, this one, Joe, you want to take over and talk about the licensing enhancements?
So we've enhanced the licensing for network licensing. This is typically for larger commercial instances as well as educational institutes. So we've added this new interface around what we had, the network locked license manager or the license server application, and this makes it a lot easier for IT people to actually install our network lock license on their systems. And I'll talk a little bit about it. Are we going to be talking about this later, Don? Or
I think we do have a slide where you take over and talk about it if you.
Okay, yeah, we'll talk later then after your
Okay.
demos.
Okay.
Yeah. For those of you who are not aware, that we offer basically two types of license models. One is called the cloud or node lock license model. This is for most commercial applications. That's the license that we provide. And for the majority of the cases, it would be a cloud license, which is pretty nice because once you get your license locked up on a machine, there is a lease period associated with that license. And once that lease period expires, the license goes back into the cloud and it's immediately available for use on any other device. It's pretty nice because let's say we typically work with two machines, one in your office and one at home, and you forgot to exit the product at the office, but you wanted to bring it up at home. And if the lease period had expired on the license, it would be available for use on your home machine. So which is pretty nice. So even if you forgot to do it, if you're on a trip somewhere, but you forgot to turn off the machine at work or exit the RhinoCam or Visual CAD/CAM product at work, you still have access to the license. And that's the majority of the cases is where we ship that cloud model. And another important feature of that model is, again, if you had a crash, let's say your machine crashed, and previously the license was locked to that machine, and there's no way you could recover that license because the hard drive crashed and the license files were written to the hard drive. But now with the cloud license, what happens is the license gets back into the cloud after the lease period expires. So even if you had a machine crash, you would have that license freed up after that lease period. And the typical lease period is actually 8 hours since the first access of that license. So that's a little bit about that cloud license that we ship. But what we have done here is the second license model is called the network lock license model. This is for large commercial establishments who are running multiple licenses, as well as educational institutions who are running hundreds of licenses at one time. We offer this product called the network lock license. And we have enhanced the application setup as well as the application itself. What you're seeing is the network lock license dialog that comes up once you load the installer or run the installer. And the IT person actually will set this up on a server that all the client machines are actually accessing. And the IT person will set up the license code and the port number to use. And then some diagnostic information will be displayed on the dialog, like the service information. Also the server machine itself, where you can actually choose the IP address of the server to associate with the application, so the clients can use that IP. And if you want to bring up the product, let me finish this and we'll bring up the product.
Okay.
I'll talk about the IP in a bit. So the IP address here has to match the IP address in the client machines, so they can talk to each other. So the client machine is actually talking to this service that this application launches. And then this service is actually serving the license to the client machines. And then the things we've added is the users have some problems setting up firewall rules. Now we can do that automatically by clicking on that button, create firewall rule. That would be a standard Windows firewall would be set up. and then also write a reg file. We can write a reg file that can be installed on client machines, so the license code is actually transparent to the users, so the clients don't ever get to see the license code. This kind of protects your license code from being shared between multiple clients. So in case of theft or inadvertent removal of licenses, you're protected, your purchase rights are protected. And then the last one is save settings on the, sorry about my dog here, save settings to the registry.
Okay, there was one thing I wanted to redo or rediscuss at just a moment. Did you want to go to the parts?
Yeah, if you want to quickly show the license dialog, I want to show them where the IP is set up. So the options, yeah, go to the licensing. So here, if you notice the network lock license service settings, in each client, that checkbox needs to be checked. And then the same IP address of where the server is running needs to be input, as well as the port. So the port number is what, the port is what is used to communicate with that server, service that's running on the server. So yeah, these two have to match up. That's how the communication handshake is done. So yeah, that's all I wanted to show.